So I hope you're all able to see the screen pretty clearly. So in the group 17, we left a little portion, and that was related to your pseudo halogen. Okay, the topic says comparison of halogens and pseudo halogen is what the topic says. Okay, so when we talk about the pseudo halogen, okay, just a second. Okay. Okay. So when we talk about the pseudo halogen, okay, so we have the thing that comes into your mind whenever you have come across this term called pseudo. It is like a mistake. Okay, it's like a mistake. So uh, if the term pseudo halogen, we look on the basis of that name that is being given, it is like not halogen. Okay, pseudo means it's a mistake and it's not a halogen, but since it is called halogen, so that means it has some similarity to a halogen molecule, and that's why this term came pseudo halogens. Okay, because it has some like if you look on these molecules, they look like a halogen molecule, but they are not halogens. That's why they are called as pseudo halogens, and the corresponding halide ion would be called as the pseudo halides. Okay, so just you look into these table. Okay, you have certain molecules like cyanogen, which is CN twice. Then we have some molecules like SCN twice. Then we have molecules like selenocyanogen. Then we have another molecule called azidocarbon disulfide. In your syllabus, you are asked to compare and study only the cyanogens, but you can remember these examples also, just to when you write about, if you're asked some note about the pseudohalogens, if you have more examples, it is better to write them. So it gives a good impression that you know about the topics that you are learning. Okay, so let's look into the definitions that are written here for the pseudohalide. So these definition, for your information, I've taken it from the book of inorganic book of the Puri and Sharma. Okay, their book. I took the text screenshot of those. Okay, so you can go and refer to these books for just reading and making your notes. Okay. So pseudohalides, these are uni-negative groups which show certain characteristics of the halide ion. So as I told you, when the name pseudohalides are said, that means it has some similarity to halide, but it's not a halide. Okay, that's why this name pseudo came into the picture. Pseudo halides. Okay, so like halide ion, they are uni-negative groups. Okay, and they have certain characteristics that are similar to halide ion, but they are not halide ion. That's why they are called as pseudo halides or pseudo halide ions. Okay, some of the anions are given here. Pseudo halides. We have cyanide, we have cyanate, thiocyanate, selenocyanate, azide. Okay, azide is a very important group because many azide salt are very useful in organic synthesis for making triazole molecule. Triazole is a very important medicinally useful heterocycle. So for making triazole, we use uh, azide intermediate. So this particular anion is very important, particularly in organic synthesis. Okay. Then we have azidothiocarbonate, then we have isocyanate group. So these are some of the pseudo halides that are known, and their corresponding the pseudo halogens are given. So each of the halide has a corresponding halogen, like chloride ion, for example, has chlorine, that is Cl2, as the corresponding halogen. So attempts have been made to isolate pseudo halogen corresponding to pseudo halides. So far, only 4 pseudo halogens, which are covalent dimers of pseudo halides, have been isolated. Though we have these many pseudo halides known, we do not have the corresponding pseudo halogens. So only 4 of them are actually so far being detected and isolated. These are these cyanogen, thiocyanogen, selenocyanogen, and azidocarbon disulfide. Okay, so these are some of the pseudo halogens that are actually isolated, and we know about that. Now, let us look into some kind of comparison. So, pseudo halides, okay, for example, as in your syllabus, you are asked only to study the comparison in terms of cyanide and cyanogen. Okay, so we will be concentrating only the discussions on the basis of this only. Okay, so like your halide ion, that is Cl minus, is able to form the corresponding hydrochloric acid. Similarly, your cyanide can combine with H plus to form the corresponding hydrocyanic acid. Okay, so this particular acid is having a similarity to the formation of the corresponding halogen acid. Okay. Now, as you know that the salts of AgCl, particularly you might be remembering about silver, right? Silver chlorides, okay? The salt, silver chloride, they are usually insoluble, okay? Similarly, PbCl2 is insoluble, HgCl2 is insoluble, and that is why when you add HCl in the first group detection while you are doing the analytical detection of these cations, these salt get precipitated as their chlorides because the chlorides of silver, lead, as well as mercurous, okay, they are insoluble. They are insoluble. Okay. Similarly, the cyanide salt of these corresponding metal ions, they are also insoluble salt. So insoluble salts with Ag plus, Pb plus, Pb2 plus, and mercurous, that is Hg2 plus. Okay, they form insoluble salts with the corresponding pseudo halide, that is cyanide. Okay, in the same way as chloride give the corresponding chloride salts of these cations. And chloride is able to form complexes, okay, like copper Cl4 2 minus as well as cobalt Cl6 3 minus. So in the same way, your cyanide can form a very similar corresponding complexes in the same way as the halogen forms. Okay, so that is a similarity between the two. Okay, and then cyanide can be oxidized to cyanogen. Okay, this is a pretty similar reaction because you know that in some reactions we can easily oxidize Cl minus to Cl2 using some oxidizing agent like ozone or some other any simple oxidizing agent can easily oxidize Cl minus to Cl2. So in the same way, the cyanide ion can be oxidized correspondingly to cyanogens. Okay. Then the salts of AgCN is insoluble in water and soluble in ammonia. This is a very similar behavior that you find in the AgCl. AgCl is also insoluble in water, but when you add excess of ammonia, they dissolve. Okay, that why it dissolves in excess of ammonia is because you form a silver complex there, and complex ions are soluble in solution, and that is why they dissolve when you add ammonia to the solution of AgCl. Okay, and like we discussed in the previous, the last class that we did for the group 17, we there talked about the interhalogen compounds. Okay, so in the same way, these there is a possibility of inter pseudo halogens. Okay, so the pseudo halogens can combine with other halide ions to form a inter pseudo halogens as well. So we have ClCN, BrCN, ICN, which can be formed. So it is similar to any halogens reacting with each other to form the corresponding interhalogen compound. So these are the various similarities that you will find when you talk about the interhalogen compounds. Okay, and here I would like to bring to your notice that many of the organic reactions where you talk about the addition of halogens, okay, across a double bond, okay, to form a dihalo, a vicinal dihalo compounds, okay, all those reactions can be extended even to the pseudo halogens, like the reaction that halogen undergo. Same reaction can be undergone by a pseudo halogen to form the corresponding compounds that are analogous to your reaction with the halogens. Okay, so that is why I'm saying these pseudo halogens are very much similar in their reactivity as well as the compounds that they form, okay, to the halogen, and that is why this name is very apt, that is pseudo halogens, because they are very similar to halogens but they are not halogens. That's why this terminology of pseudo has been brought in. Okay, so I hope you understood this particular topic on pseudo halides and pseudo halogens, and you also understood the various comparisons that I discussed in here. You have any doubts regarding this, you can ask me. Did you all understand what I just now taught about pseudo halogens? എല്ലാവർക്കും മനസ്സിലായോ? So, Sharon, are you there? Sharon. Okay. So, Sharon, did you understand what we just now discussed about pseudo halogens? Do you have any doubts in this particular topic?
No, sir.
No. Okay. So it's pretty clear, right?
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
Why they are called pseudo halogens? Could you just respond?
Negative charge, uni-negative charge, and shows properties of halogen.
Yeah, mainly because pseudo halogens are called because they are similar to halogens, and they have similarity to halogen, but they are not halogens, and that's why they are called pseudo halogens. Okay, very good, thank you. So let us go back because that finishes our group 17. Okay, and yeah, that finishes our discussion on halogens. So we are left with now group 18, little bit of it, because most of the things we have already discussed in the last class when we talked about the we started discussing about the noble gas. Okay, so I'll continue with our discussion on the compounds that are formed with the xenon. Just for your memory, I started discussing about group 18, and I told you that xenon, they are reactive, and they form different compounds with fluorine as well as with oxygen. Okay, so you have these many compounds known. Okay, so in your syllabus, you basically have to look into the structure of oxides and fluorides of xenon. Okay, so whatever oxides and fluorides of xenon are formed, regarding that, you have to find their corresponding structure. Okay, so since we have discussed structure quite often using different theories, so I'm not going to discuss every structure in here. I expect you to do it on your own. While you are experiencing any problem while doing any structure, you have doubts, please do ask me. Okay, because you have to be like, you know, the pattern of solving the structure. Okay, using whatever discussions we had in our previous classes. Okay, so on that same basis, basis only, please do the discussions, so that if you have any doubts, okay, you can ask me, but do not look into your guides them saying you write itself, because because there is a lot of mistakes there. Okay, so please remember what we have learned, how to do the structure solving in our class, and proceed in a similar manner. And while you are doing so, if you're finding that your structure is not matching with what you have arrived at, you can ask me. Okay, and many students are asking me whenever they are finding it difficult, they are contacting me through WhatsApp. Okay, so do that yourself also. If you find any difficulty, please ask me. I have no, you can ask me any doubt. Okay, and in the best possible way, I will try to explain and make it as simple as possible to you. Okay, but you have to take a initiative of doing it on your own. Okay, so we started with XCF2, and we tried to solve the structure using the VSEPR, and also we tried to discuss the BBT of the xenon fluorides. Okay, and then we talked about what are the discrepancies that you see with the hybridization. Okay, because of the energy difference between the 5p and the 5d orbitals. Okay, so then the concept of MOT came into being, that is molecular orbital explanation, where we talked about the bonding happening between the pz orbital of the xenon and the pz orbitals of the two fluorine atoms. Okay, and since pz is directed along a single axis, obviously their geometry will become automatically linear. Okay, so that way we tried to do it, and we also discussed the molecular orbital for XCF2. Okay, and we came across three molecular orbital. One was bonding, one was non-bonding, and one was anti-bonding. Okay, so this explained how a 3-center 4-electron bonds was possible in here. Okay, and two of the bonds are involved in the 2 sigma bonds that are formed between Xc and F. And these 2 electrons are usually located on the fluorine atom, giving it the ionic character. Okay, so that is about the Fe2. Then you have the other molecule is your XeF2. XeF2. Okay, but XeF2, you don't have to. XeF2 we just now studied. XeF4. Okay, XeF4 you proceed in the same way as we did for the XeF2. Okay, you need not have to worry about molecular orbital for every one of them, because as I told you, molecular orbital theory is not very easy when it comes to larger and larger number of atoms. Okay, it's not like how we are visually able to explain for just 3 atom, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ കൂടിപ്പോയ 4 atom. Okay, our explanation when it comes to polynuclear atom, it is slightly not so simple. Okay, so we don't use molecular orbital every time to discuss the polyatomic molecule, but wherever it is easy to understand, there we try to bring in that concept and try to understand that it is not just pure hybridization. There is a different kind of orbital combination also giving rise to different bonds. Okay, that molecular orbital give us a realization of the actuality of the bonds. Okay, where valence bond theory is like an empirical methodology to find out the structure and the shape. Okay, and it gives a brief idea about the type of bonding that is happening. Okay, but it doesn't give you an absolute picture. Okay, which the molecular orbital usually provides you. Okay, so you can look for the structure of the XeF2, and I hope you would be able to find the correct structure of XeF2. Okay, now what I would like you to do right now is please try to XeF2. I'll leave to you because it's a square planar structure. Okay, and you please do it yourself. Okay, and here, since there is a discrepancy with the XeF6, that's why I want to discuss this particular molecule. Okay, so every one of you, please try to solve this structure either using VSEPR or your BBT, and try to get to the structure of SeF6. Okay, so all of you, please do this. Okay, I'm waiting for you to come up with the answer, and I'll ask one of you to solve this for me. Okay, and then I'll talk about the nature of bonding there. So I'll give you some 10 minutes to do it. Okay, and I hope you will be able to do it. XeF6. Okay, use either VSEPR or BBT. One of you can try to do both of them because that gives you more practice. Okay, so please do that, all of you.
First, total number of valence electrons.
Okay, the first step is calculation of valence electrons. Okay, valence electrons. Etra vannu valence electron?
8 plus 6 into 7.
8 plus 6 into
7.
7. Okay, perfectly fine. Etra vannu total?
56.
56. Oh.
8 plus 40.
48. Okay.
48.
So 56 one. Okay, fine. Now, what you did?
Then I write xenon and 6 fluorines.
Okay, xenon and 6 fluorine, because xenon would be the central atom. Because first of all, in a molecule, when usually central atom is present as a single atom, another thing that you can look for is the electronegativity. So xenon with a lower electronegative value would be definitely a central atom. Okay. So you have 6 fluorine atoms surrounding them. Okay, then what you did?
Then I joined with single bond.
Okay, so you joined every fluorine atom to the single atom. Okay,
Sir,
so how
can
many?
you make some correction?
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, 8 plus 6 into 7 is equal to 50, alle?
50, sorry.
See, I'm also not good at mathematics. Thank you for correcting me, Amber.
Sorry, sir.
Because,
It's my mistake.
No, it's okay. Even my mistake also, because I should have known the addition. But I will be very frank with you guys. Like, because of using these calculators, I don't use much of mental mathematics. So usually, I do the calculators and calculate. അങ്ങനെ ഒരു ഹാബിറ്റ് ആയതുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ അത്രയും കോൺസെൻട്രേറ്റ് ചെയ്യത്തില്ല. Okay, so it's okay. It happens sometime, but in examination, inginathe mistake cheyarudhu. Anyway, you are allowed to carry the calculator, so it is fine. Okay. Okay. So ini adutha step enduva?
Then 12 electrons bonding in a pool. So remaining
Okay.
is 38 electrons.
Okay, so let me write here. So minus 12 electrons. Okay, so here it is 10 minus 2, 8, 38. Okay, so we have 38 electrons remaining. Okay, so let us arrange them. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Okay, then 2 electrons extra would be on xenon atom.
You know.
37, 38. Okay, next step in the one.
Next, formal charge.
Okay, formal charge എന്തുവായിരിക്കും?
Formal charge 0 ആയിരിക്കും fluorine.
Okay. And what about xenon?
Xenon
Xenon എന്ത് formal charge?
1 minute, sir.
ഇങ്ങനെ 1 ആവും. See, xenon has how many lone pairs? 2.
No, sir, 1 minute.
Eh?
1 minute എന്നാ പറഞ്ഞത്.
Oh, 1 minute എന്നാണ് പറഞ്ഞത്. Okay, okay. Sorry.
It's 0, sir.
It's 0. Okay. So xenon also formal charge is 0. So that means the structure is correct. Okay. So what is the geometry?
Pentagonal bipyramidal.
Yeah. The structure would be expected to be a pentagonal bipyramidal structure. Okay. So that is what we come to the conclusion from the VSEPR theory. So the structure would be a pentagonal bipyramidal. So you have xenon with 6 fluorine atom around it, and 1 is a lone pair. So you have the structure as XeF6, which is pentagonal bipyramidal. Okay, so this is the expected structure from VSEPR theory. Okay, but the problem is because of this lone pair. Okay, because of this lone pair, their structure comes out to be can be a capped octahedron. Their structure can be a capped octahedron. Octahedron structure, ningalkariyavallo. This is an octahedron with all the fluorine center. Okay, and then because of this lone pair can be pointed on the face, one of the faces, any one of the faces of the octahedron. Okay, so this there are two possibilities because of this presence of lone pair. Though the VSEPR predicts it to be pentagonal bipyramidal, there is a two possibility. Either it can be a pentagonal bipyramidal like this, or it can be distorted into a capped octahedron, or they are also written as distorted octahedron. Okay, so this is more appropriate thing, that is capped octahedron. So there are two possible structure. Now we always have debate about what is the actual structure of XeF6, but the vibrational spectroscopy, when we did, we found that their symmetry is. Have you studied symmetry? Symmetry പഠിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടോ?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what do you mean? Have you studied this point group C3b? C3B പഠിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടോ? ഓർമ്മയുണ്ടോ? പഠിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടോ? കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടോ?
C3 പഠിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്.
Okay, C3 proper access C3 പഠിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. Okay, and then C3B പഠിച്ചിട്ടില്ല അല്ലേ? ഇല്ലായിരിക്കും.
ഇല്ല.
എനിക്കറിയാം. Because I'm not teaching you group theory, so I don't know about it. So there is a point group called C3B. So C3B point group means it has, as you told, there is an operation called C3, that is rotation by 120 degrees. So if you place an axis here, because it's a triangle, you can rotate by 120 degree and it is a very perfectly symmetrical molecule. When you rotate by 120 degree, it will again fall into the same structure. Okay, so that's why it has a C3 symmetry. At the same time, you have vertical plane, mirror planes that can be passing through each of the fluorine and the opposite side. So it is like perfectly a point group of C3B possible. And C3B point group is only possible if this XeF6 has this particular shape of octahedron. Okay, so that is why it was concluded that the more appropriate structure of XeF6 is this capped octahedron because of the presence of C3B point group, okay, on this particular molecule. Okay, so when in the examination you talk about the structure of XeF6, there is an anomaly here that though your both BSAPR ILM, even when you go home and try with BBT, you will find that the structure is sp3d3. Okay, so that means pentagonal bipyramidal. Okay, so if that is the case, then the structure should be this structure. Okay, but because of this lone pair, they adopt a distorted octahedron, which is more appropriately called as the capped octahedron. Okay, and this is supported by the vibrational spectroscopy, where the gaseous Fe6 shows the presence of a C3b symmetry, and that is possible only when the structure is capped octahedron. Okay, so that particular thing I wanted to bring to your notice. So rest of the oxides, like baki ola structure, I want you, all of you, to use VBT and BSCPR to find the corresponding structure. So here this table you will find in JD Lee. Okay, JD Lee e table under. Okay, so you have all the xenon compounds here and their corresponding structure or geometry here. Okay, so what you do is use the VBT and BSCPR theory. Okay, both you try to use. Just don't stop at BSCPR. Try to use VBT also. Okay, so it gives you a lot of practice. Okay, so now try to find out whether you are arriving at these structures that are mentioned in this table. Okay, all of you, you have to practice on yourself these different structures of oxides and get to their corresponding shapes. Okay, so with that, I think we have today finished our noble gases as well. Okay, so I hope you have understood so far, and I have believed that you are understanding